Welcome to our family time at Great Clacton Parish today. We're going to hear a story from the Bible, we're going to sing a song, and we're going to have a prayer. So get yourself comfy and get yourself all cosy with your teddy and whatever you want to cuddle, or a blanket and a drink if you'd like one, and get ready for our family time together. Do you have any habits? Maybe you sing in the bath, or maybe you twiddle your thumbs, or maybe you even... let's not talk about that one. Well, this is a story about someone who had a habit. His name was Daniel, and he had a great habit. However, his habit got him into lots of trouble. Are you comfy? Got your glasses on so you can see properly? So you're ready for today's story. And today's story is called Jesus and the Lion's Den. Well, that can't be right, can it? I'm sure it was Daniel in the lion's den, wasn't it? Let's see what it says. Oh, yes. Did you know that the oldest stories in the Bible are a bit like puzzles? If you look very carefully, you can spot some Jesus moments. These are moments when someone in the story is a little bit like Jesus. So this book is about the really exciting story of Daniel, but what makes it even more exciting is that you can spot Jesus moments in it too. There are lots of lions in this story, but every time you see this special lion in one of the pictures, it's a clue that there's a Jesus moment too. Are you ready to start the story? Let's begin. Daniel knew God, the real King of everyone and everywhere. Daniel loved God very much, so 3 times a day Daniel knelt down by his window and he prayed. Prayer is talking to God. We can talk to him anywhere, anytime, and about anything. What a wonderful habit Daniel had. How could that get anyone into trouble? Daniel worked for Darius, the super powerful king of Babylon. Daniel was so good at his job that the king wanted him to run the whole kingdom. But the other people who worked for King Darius didn't like Daniel, and they didn't like the God he prayed to. So they decided to get Daniel into trouble with the king. Don't forget, look out for the special lions and think about a Jesus moment. There was just one problem with their plan. Daniel had done nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing. But then they thought of something. They could use Daniel's habit to get him into trouble. Daniel's enemies got King Darius to make a new law. It said that for 30 days no one was allowed to pray to anyone except to the king. And if anyone broke the law, they would be thrown into a den full of lions. Hungry lions. Oh no! What would Daniel do? If he obeyed the king of Babylon, he would stay safe. But if he obeyed the real God, the king of everyone and everywhere, he would keep praying. And that meant Daniel would be lion food. What should Daniel choose? Safety or lion food? Daniel's enemies crept up to his house and looked up at his window. Daniel was... What do you think he was doing? He was praying. Don't forget, look out for the special Jesus moments. Can you see a lion picture? They'd caught him. The plan had worked, so they rushed back and told the king. Daniel was about to become lion food. King Darius tried and tried all day to find a way to save Daniel, but he couldn't. Even the king wasn't able to change the law. So, when the sun went down, Daniel was taken to the den of huge, hungry lions and thrown in. "I hope your God can save you," said the king. "Roar," said the lions. A big stone was rolled across the mouth of the den, and everyone went to bed. But the king couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned and tossed all night long. In the morning, he rushed back to the den. "Daniel, has your God been able to save you from the lions?" asked the king. And then he listened. Wonder what he could hear. A voice came from the den. "Yes, O king, I'm not hurt. God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths. God saved me because I had done nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing." Daniel was lifted out of the den, and there wasn't even a scratch on him. Daniel had trusted God, and God had saved him. Then, because King Darius was such an important king, he wrote to all the people in all the countries in all the world. That must have been a very long letter. This is what it says. "Daniel's God is the living God. He is the real king of everyone and everywhere, now and forever. He saves his people." Oh, that's odd. It says the end, but it's been crossed out. Let's read it. No, it isn't the end at all, because now it's time to spot some Jesus moments. Let's look back at some of the pictures in the book. There were lots of lions in the story, but did you spot the special ones? He appears every time there's a Jesus moment in the story. And each Jesus moment is a moment when Daniel is a little bit like Jesus, the Son of God. I think there were 4 altogether. Here's what they mean. First of all, Daniel's enemies wanted to get rid of Daniel. So they tried to get him in trouble. And that's what Jesus' enemies did to him too. So Daniel was got into trouble by his enemies, and Jesus was got into trouble by his enemies too. But in his job, Daniel had done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong at all. His enemies had to invent a new law to get Daniel into trouble. And that's when they spoke to the king. Do you remember? And the king made the new law where everybody had to worship him. In his whole life, Jesus had done nothing wrong either. Nothing at all. So his enemies had to tell lies about Jesus to get him into trouble. They said he was pretending to be God. They said he was using God's name in the wrong way. And they tried to get Jesus into trouble. When Daniel heard about his enemy's plan, he knew he was going to be arrested and thrown to the lions. Do you remember? He could choose to obey the king's law or to obey the king of everything, the king of everywhere, the king of everyone, God's law, and carry on praying to him. What did Daniel choose? That's right. Daniel prayed. When Jesus knew he was going to be arrested and killed on a cross, what did he do? Can you think? Yes. He prayed too. So you see, Daniel was a little bit like Jesus there. When he was in trouble, he prayed to God. Did Daniel die in the den of lions? No. The lions were very hungry, and Daniel was as good as dead. But God, the real king of everyone and everywhere, brought Daniel out of the den. Do you remember? He sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions so they didn't eat Daniel. Did Jesus die on the cross? Yes. 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 Jesus really was dead. But then God brought his son out of death. And do you know something amazing? God promises to bring all of his son's friends out of death and into life with him too. Can God really do that? Yes, he can. He's done it before. So one day, all of Jesus' friends will live with him forever and ever. And for now, we can enjoy the same habit Daniel did. We can talk to the real king of everyone and everywhere, every day. I wonder if you'll remember the story of Daniel every time you talk to God when you pray. In the back of all of these books, it tells us how we know these are true stories. It says, the exciting story of Daniel and the huge hungry lions can be found in Daniel chapter 6 in the Old Testament part of the Bible. This true story is set in the time of King Darius, who was king of the Persian Empire around 500 BC. Exactly 522 to 486 BC. before Jesus was born. The Old Testament tells us about all the events that happened long before Jesus was born, and yet the whole Bible is about Jesus. It was always God's good plan to send his Son to live on earth, to die for our sins, and then to rise to life again. And God gave his people lots of clues about how this would happen. When we read Old Testament stories, we can look out for these clues, just like the Jesus moments in the story of Daniel. They're all moments when someone in the story is a little bit like Jesus. Here are a few other Old Testament stories you might like to read to see how someone in the story is a bit like Jesus. You might like to read about Jonah and the great big fish in the book of Jonah, chapter 1, verse 17, through to chapter 2, verse 10. Or you might like to read about David and Goliath in the first book of Samuel, chapter 17, verses 45 to 50. Or you might like to read about Abraham and Isaac in the book of Genesis, chapter 22, verses 1 to 14. Or you might like to read about Moses and the manna in the desert in Exodus chapter 16, verses 1 to 18. All of those stories are in the Old Testament part of the Bible. Now we're going to sing a song together. I wonder if you can guess which one I've chosen. Yes, it's all about prayer. If you know this song, join in. If you don't know it, you'll soon pick it up.
Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to Jesus. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to God. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to Jesus. Pick it up and use it every day. We can shout out loud, we can whisper softly, we can make no noise at all, but he'll always hear our call. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to Jesus. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to God. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to Jesus. Pick it up and use it every day. We can shout out loud, we can whisper softly, we can make no noise at all, but he'll always hear our call. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to Jesus. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to God. Prayer is like a telephone for us to talk to Jesus. Pick it up and use it every day.
Shall we finish our time together today with a prayer, talking to God just like Daniel did? Let's do our prayer drill. 1, 2, 3. Dear God, we thank you for the story of Daniel. We thank you that Daniel trusted you. We thank you that Daniel prayed to you even when he knew it was going to get him into trouble. Please help us to talk to you when we're feeling happy or sad or worried or frightened. We thank you that we know you always listen to our prayers. Amen.